From Arcane to Zeitgeist, a metacognitive lexical lament by Ariel Tabori. The following essay is an exercise in constrained creative writing, spaced repetition, and personal development. It was written quite by accident with no intentions to publish, and is simply intended to induce that distinctly avant-garde sense of je ne sais quoi, which a proper magnum opus might inspire. It aims to present an unapologetically elitist and unironically pretentious and self-indulgent tour de force, in explicit opposition to the status quo. Its aberrant nature, while naturally abhorrent to many, strives to demonstrate an inherent aesthetic value, while promoting thinly veiled altruistic motives, through the playful use of intentionally arcane, ambiguous, and perhaps somewhat archaic prose. This unmistakably aristocratic presentation will undoubtedly appear as arrogant on its face, but is intended for those who might relish and delight in such things, quietly astonishing some, and perhaps even astounding a select few. For the most atrocious and caustic of charlatans, it represents a clandestine evasion of their limited cognitive horizons, only gently attempting to mask the intentional condescension of them, thus hopefully forming a graceful confluence of contemplative and contemporary jest, wrapped in a contrived, covert, Cretan-bashing deontology. A scenic lexical detour composed of detrimental diatribes of their dogmatic Dunning-Kruger palace and its grand edifice. It aims to be edifying with its effervescent and egalitarian eloquence, and attempts to elucidate the enigmatic while soothing the enmity of the epistemologically erudite reader with somewhat esoteric and often excruciating exemplars of expansive, if not always expedient, extrapolation, and exquisitely crafted semantic filigree. Meanwhile, the deeply foreboding sense brought on by the incoming Harlequin king represents to many a harrowing experience, filled with Herculean efforts to endure the half-formed heuristics, pure crystallized hubris, and unrefined hyperbole of the now unrestrained imbecile. In such incoherent times, the intellectually incandescent and insatiably curious face insidious jesters, gleefully ignorant of Jevon's paradox, their intricately engineered kakistocracy, and the logistical monopoly it drives, feed malicious incursions and dominance by the unambiguously mediocre over any concept of meritocracy. Midwits reign in the kingdom of the mundane, while any sense of nuance, whether critically important or strictly ornamental and ornate, is systematically obfuscated, obscured, and relegated to the occult, as an ominous, semi-psychedelic ontology with an ornery tone takes hold, slowly rendering all paths to wisdom fundamentally orthogonal. Their ostensible truth, which completely fills their Overton window, runs parallel only to the palpably patronizing pedagogy of the ironically pedantic, aspirationally penultimate, and overtly pernicious leadership whose positively phosphorescent and pompous virality is entirely predicated on pretentious arrogance and cultish tribalism around the profane, in violent contrast to all that is profound. Though they demand retribution, the nature of their power is quintessentially rhetorical, and intentionally contrary to all that is sanguine and empirical. And so, the sapiosexual is consistently met with scathing, as all Socratically inclined and sophisticated ideas are increasingly drowned out by incurious sycophants. There is an almost tactile sense of tangential tangibility, as the most teleologically treacherous and vapid celebrate, and a growing sense of vesperance overwhelms the vigilant, virtuous, and virtuosic with a visage of that which was once vivacious and voluminous, but is now being consumed by the voracious appetites for power which vie for dominance over this vulgar new zeitgeist.